My name is Giles Smith, and welcome to our community. Welcome to our show. The show you're about to see is a candidate forum. It's brought to you by the CYAP, the Community Youth Athletic and Academic Program, in conjunction with the Victor Valley College ASB. Our goal is to educate, inform, and inspire our community. The program is designed to get you to know the candidates and for you to make a selection of who you want to represent the 33rd Assembly District. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon and thank you for coming. I'm Robert Larrabee, one of your candidates for the 33rd Assembly District. A little bit about myself. I'm married. I have 7 kids. I may have 2 grandkids. My daughter was induced this morning, so I may have a second granddaughter this morning. I'm a former professional level athlete. I'm a minister. I'm a chaplain with the 120th Squadron of the Civil Air Patrol. I'm a businessman, family man, community volunteer. And I'm a student here at Victor Valley College. I think that's what I am. I'll be here.
Thank you. My name is Brett Savage, and I'm running for State Assembly here in the 33rd District. Come June 3rd, you guys won't have an easy decision. Although this is a Republican seat and will remain a Republican seat, you're not just choosing another Republican. Who you pick is going to be the leader of our party and the leader of our state. Today, we have government failing us in too many ways. We have sky-high unemployment, more poverty in this state than any other state in the nation, failing schools, and a toxic environment for job creation. We can do better. I know we can do better. To give you a little bit of background about myself, I was born and raised here in the high desert. I went to school at Granite Hills High School. Then I went to Victor Valley College here. Go Rams! After BBC, I transferred to UC Irvine, where I graduated in the top 1% of my class with a political science degree. And I've worked on Capitol Hill with Congressman Jerry Lewis. While working with Congressman Jerry Lewis, fought against Obamacare, tax increases, and we were fighting for small businesses. And it really taught me the importance of conservatism. I also work for a redevelopment agency in Apple Valley called the Apple Valley Village PBID, where I work closely with small businesses in the town of Apple Valley. For the past month, I've been going door to door, knocking here within the high desert, and I've knocked on over 3,000 doors, listening to the concerns of the constituents and the voters. And they're tired of seeing the same people go to Sacramento time and time again. And they are refreshed that they see somebody on their doorstep that they can tell their problems to. And I'm sitting there listening and telling them what I would like to do for California. We have too high of taxes, massive amount of gun control regulation, and too much government spending. And we need to fix that. Not by sending the same people up there, but somebody who has conservative values, energy to get something done in Sacramento. Come June 3rd, I'm hoping for your guys' support. And I'm willing to fight for the 33rd District. Thank you.
All right. Can you hear me? Sir. We don't have to go on air. Yeah, I'm Jerry J. Laws. I'm running for the, of course, candidate 33rd Assembly District. Those I've handed cards out to. I've been fighting this anti-state and anti-federal government since 1961, and I used to say on George Putnam's show, until I have my foot in the grave, I'll keep on doing it, period. I got John Hancock on one side of the family, Stephen F. Austin on the other side. Now, gun rights. I mean gun rights. I'm an old Marine, Sergeant, Tom, 106s, 81 Mortars, 3rd Admiral, U.S. Naval Gunfire. State rights, state rights, state right resources. We should use our resources in the state to pay our bills and the state of California as much as we can. Also, cut taxes and a flat rate tax. Federal government won't do it, maybe we can get the states to do it. Remember, the states created the federal government, not the federal government created the states. Of course, they were 13 colonies originally. So, get the federal government off our land as much as possible, get them out of our hair as much as possible, and let's see what else we got here. Government, state, back, oh yeah, okay. And BLM. I've got a person here who wants to keep BLM. And by the way, the reason the BLM even exists, and other things that have happened over the centuries, is because they were forced to give so much land to the federal government to become part of the United States. Unconstitutional, has been for years. Let's see, 10th Amendment. Well, we've been talking about that. 10th Amendment, take back our states, period. And vote for me if you want your gun rights, and God, family, country, the Constitution. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Michelle Ambrosic, and I tout myself as a gun-toting, Bible-clinging, SUV-driving, Constitution-defending conservative. I'm a wife, a mother of 3, and a small business owner. I have a degree in communication from the University of Arizona. As a small business owner of a health insurance brokerage, I am disgusted over Obamacare and the negative impact it has on our district. We have one of the highest primary care physician deficits in the nation. I believe that we need representatives who understand the financial aspects of this industry to address our doctor and hospital shortages. My plan, which I've been working on, my first piece of legislation that I will submit the day I'm sworn into office, will draw doctors and healthcare providers to this district. It's similar to California's enterprise zones, and it alleviates healthcare providers from tax and regulatory burdens, and it entices new doctors by implementing a medical school debt forgiveness program to assist this rural district in gaining medical providers here. My #1 goal, once elected, is to bring jobs to this district. I'm a small business owner, and running a business is hard. California makes it harder. They say if you want to have a small business in California, you better start with a big one. We small business owners bear all of the burdensome rules and regulations, CARB, AQMD, taxes, insurance, liability, workers' compensation, licensing requirements, and all the risk. It's too hard to generate a profit, let alone create jobs or grow. We need all of these burdens out of the way. In addition to the business of healthcare, which brings good paying, long-term jobs and local revenue with it, I want to make California an appealing place to do business. I will fight to lower taxes and remove burdensome regulations which are sending businesses and jobs out of the state. I will also fight to tap our natural resources, which will bring billions in state revenue and millions of jobs to California.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Microphone. Maybe I need yours after. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jay Obernolte. I'm the mayor of the city of Big Bear Lake. I'd like to start by telling you a little bit about myself. So this is my second term as mayor in the city of Big Bear. I've served 4 years on the city council in Big Bear Lake. And before that, I served 5 years on the board of directors of the airport district in Big Bear, 3 terms as the president. So I have 9 years of elected experience. I have a bachelor's degree in engineering and applied science from Caltech, and I have a master's degree in artificial intelligence from UCLA. Now, artificial intelligence is a division of computer science, although I've been told that in Sacramento, a knowledge of artificial intelligence might come in very handy. So I want to tell you a little bit about my business background. 25 years ago, I started a video game development company out of my dorm room at Caltech. And in the years since then, we've grown to become one of the leading software development companies in California. We have a 2-story office building in Big Bear. We have 25 full-time employees, and we develop games for PlayStation, for Xbox, all the Nintendo platforms. We also do mobile apps for iPhones, iPads, and Android phones and tablets. Our games are sold in over 70 countries and over 13 currencies around the world. So why am I running for the state assembly? I'm running because the 33rd Assembly District, our assembly district, has one of the highest unemployment rates of anywhere in California. I believe the reason for that is our toxic business environment. We need business experience in Sacramento if we're going to fix that problems. Unless you've had the experience of shepherding a business through decades of ups and downturns, you really don't know and understand the pressure that business is under. I would like to take my 25 years of business experience and my 9 years of legislative experience and work to ameliorate that problem for you in Sacramento. Thanks for listening. We'll talk more later.
Good afternoon. My name is Rick Raleigh, and I've been here many times. Giles has the timer on. You can look at it. I was born and raised in Southern California. Went to high school in Apple Valley. I've been on the council in Apple Valley for 2 terms as mayor. And my full-time job is a lieutenant with the Sheriff's Department. I've sat with these good people now for, I think this is our 3rd or 4th debate. And we all know what we stand for. And everybody up here, for the most part, stands for the same things. We're going to hear it day after day and time after time what the issues are. We're going to be gun rights, we're going to be regulations on business, there's going to be issues on education, on taxes. It's going to run the gamut. We're all going to agree on it. But what needs to be done, we have 80 legislators in Sacramento, and the Republican side of it, the conservative side, is outgunned 2 to 1 or more. We have to be able to build consensus to get things done. We're going to hear a lot of rhetoric on what I'm going to do when I get up there. Well, we've seen what happens when we just have somebody who goes up there and throws out rhetoric, nothing gets done. And none of the agendas that we want to push gets moved forward. So what we need to do, what you need to look at is who has the experience to build a consensus, who has the experience in public service, involved in local governments, because you need somebody that knows the good, the bad, and the ugly of government. And you need somebody up there that's going to build a consensus up there in Sacramento to get these issues done. And if you look at myself compared to the rest of the candidates here, I have a proven track record of getting things done. I have a proven track record of being elected. I have a proven track record of saying and doing what I'm saying I'm going to do, a man of my word. So that's very important in government today. So thank you. Can you hear me?
Loud.
Talk loud. My name's Scott Markovich, and I have some credentials too, but I'm not going to tell you. Because a lot of times, as a cement contractor that I used to work with, I don't need a piece of paper to show I have rights. One of the realities is, we're basing this election on emotion, okay? And it's going to be based on science, all right? And I'm sorry, we've got to let emotion get out of the way of our politics. We can't be played or deceived based on emotional stances. Look, everybody, it's all right to be passionate on a single issue, but don't let it sidetrack you from our priorities of a bigger picture. And what is our bigger picture? I was out campaigning in Needles. Needles just lost, and they're in our district, District 33, right on the border. They just lost their supermarket. That was the last major business out there. And why did they lose it? They live right on the border, and the taxes are too high in their community, okay? And we've kind of forgotten about this. So if you want to open a car dealership in Needles, you don't open a car in Needles, you open it in Bullhead City. Look, there is a bigger picture out there. And what we focus in on single rights, now gun rights are important, choice is important, and gay rights are important. But when we centralize our whole thinking on one candidate's view on these things, we polarize ourselves up in Sacramento. And this community in District 33 has been polarized because of some of its thinking. I'm asking you to find a way to bring unity, and I'm focusing in on infrastructure. This is the reason why you elected government, to rebuild your bridges, to rebuild your transportation, to provide your education, and work together with the Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians, and Independents to form a new belief that we can accomplish things on our own, and we need to do it now. We got to quit fooling around right now. We're too focused on single issues that do not get nothing done in this community.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Art Bishop, I'm running for the 33rd Assembly. I want to thank Victor Valley Community College for the opportunity to be here and speak today. This is just, as a few people have said, this is my college. This is where I graduated from. I was honored to be part of the Hall of Fame for this college. It was one of the things my memory always remembered. I was a fire chief here in the High Desert for 32 years. I was a local businessman with a family business. I was 8 years on the Mojave Water Agency, twice as the president of that agency. And I also served on the Apple Valley Fire Protection District. I'm currently the mayor of Apple Valley. Previous to that, I was the mayor pro tem. I'm on my second year on the council. Really one of my key issues is something that I know that, at least for the students in this point, should be very clear to their hearts, and that's education. Because the real issue is jobs, and you can't get to good, quality, paying, good, benefit-providing jobs without good education. And one of the things that we're really lacking in this high desert is we have a great two-year community college. Obviously, it's my college. But we need to be able to provide a higher level college as well. We need to be able to provide a university level, but we need jobs that'll bring these young people back to our community. So many of the young people who go out and get their education, which I want them to do, I want good quality education, unfortunately are leaving the area and they're not coming back. It's going to be a very strong point of mine to be able to improve education here in the high desert so that we can provide for our kids and our grandchildren's future. My name is Art Bishop. I'm the mayor of the town of Apple Valley. I say city sometimes, I shouldn't say that. And Scott, I know where there's a bridge we can start rebuilding tomorrow morning. I want to thank you all for being here today and have a great day. God bless you.
One of our student-generated questions. So the first one is, in your opinion, what is the most important amendment to the United States Constitution and why? And we'll be starting with...
Get to go first again. Well, what is the most important amendment to the United States Constitution? Well, lately you hear a lot about the Second Amendment, but I believe the First Amendment is the most important of all the amendments. It gives us our right to freedom of speech. As a minister, and speaking from the pulpit, I've been under attack for a number of years about what I can and cannot say over a pulpit, regardless of what God's Word says. Now that's an important thing to me in California. This is getting a little bit away from the U.S. Constitution, but the preamble in our state constitution states this: we the people of California, in order to show gratitude to Almighty God for our freedom, and to secure the blessings thereof, write this Constitution. And if I can't talk about God in a public school or anywhere else over the pulpit without getting in trouble, where is my First Amendment right? Where is it gone?
Thank you. I would also say that it's the First Amendment. I teach political science courses at UC Irvine, and most of the classes I teach are Intro into American Government. We go over the amendments, and I let the students know, I ask this question, which one do you guys think is the most important amendment? And they also say the first. If you do not have the First Amendment, the other ones really don't matter at that point. Also, I would say the 10th Amendment is also extremely important. We see too many times the federal government having a one-size-fits-all approach for everything. More power needs to be given back to the states, back to the local levels. Because when the federal government butts in and starts telling us what to do, there's a big problem. And this is happening time and time again. We need to see more authority given back to the states so that they can do what's best for their own people. Thank you.
Okay. Can you hear me? No.
Okay, I want to second the other two competitors here. But the Second Amendment of the Constitution defends the rest of the Constitution. If you don't have your gun rights, you can't defend yourself and your homes. But remember, the police department, the sheriff, the only reason it exists is you hung your Kentucky rifle over the fireplace. So the Second Amendment is the most important at this time in history. Of course all of them are important. Of course the first is important. But the Second Amendment defends the rest of them. If you cannot defend your rights, you cannot defend your First and Second and all the rest of them. And state rights, by the way, the state, take that back. The people in Sacramento have broke their oath to the state and federal constitution by the 5,000th time. They have passed no laws against the right to keep their arms, period. They have broke their oath. And if they read the state constitution and the federal constitution and this little book that they republish every year or every 2 years, right there, they broke their oath, period. And I'm going to change that.
The Second Amendment is the most important amendment to the U.S. Constitution because it is the one amendment that protects all of the other amendments. Without the Second Amendment, the people aren't protected to form militias and protect their homes. And when they're not able to do that, everything else is written on paper. But how are the people able to uphold those amendments without the Second Amendment? It is our protection to protect ourselves against a tyrannical government. And at the end of the day, without it, the others simply don't exist.
Thank you. I'm going to go with the First Amendment. I'm going to illustrate why I feel that way with a quote from my favorite founding father, Thomas Jefferson. He said, "When the government fears the people, there is liberty. But when people fear their government, there is tyranny." And the overwhelmingly, the most popular way to fear your government is if you're afraid that your government is listening and watching everything that you do. Dissension, self-honesty is what makes us Americans, I think. And the moment that we lose the ability to have discourse, the moment that we lose the ability to say, this is wrong with our government, or that is wrong with our government, that is going to lead to the ultimate weakening and failure of us as a state. So definitely the First Amendment is my answer.
Very important. I believe the Second and Fourth Amendment are the ones that are under assault in this country and in this state. Now, when it comes to the Second Amendment, it's the ownership of weapons, of guns, and the registration of weapons. Now, the Fourth Amendment is search and seizure, that you should be secure in your homes, and the government should not be able to search your home without probable cause of a felony being committed. Now, I can give you an example of how that would affect me. As a police officer, I was able to, in the state of California, buy a AR-15 with a detachable 30-round magazine. Now, if I was a civilian, I couldn't purchase that weapon. Now, if I retire from the Sheriff's Department, I have to give that weapon back under the laws of the DOJ. Now, if I don't give that weapon back, that means I commit a felony, which gives the government the right to come into my house and search and seize my property. So I believe that the Second Amendment, which has been spoken of very much here, is very important, along with the Fourth Amendment. Thank you.
I'm going to go with the... Can you hear me now? I'm going to go with the First Amendment, and I'm going to go with a little different aspect of it. The freedom of speech thing is crucial, but even more crucial for effective government that can get things done and cause separation is separation of church and state. Now, it doesn't specifically state that, but it's implied that. And we have a court system that works with the Constitution and works with the amendments in terms of interpretation. And there are many things out there. But the most crucial aspect of the First Amendment is the separation of church and state, so that governments cannot be influenced by one or any other religion. And also that governments aren't allowed or being taken over by religion. When we first founded this country, the Church of England was oppressive, and it was an oligarchy. And you could not represent yourself fairly or be represented, and on the grounds of a religion. And religion, as we see across the globe today, is taking over certain aspects of countries and taking away all of our rights, especially women's rights. So separation is perfect and makes us sustainable.
Well, let me know when you're ready. Giles, I got you. I'm waiting for you. Well, just like Rick said, all the amendments to the Constitution are extremely important. I think the one that's, and then there's no one that's more important than another. The problem is right now is so many of our people in this nation are forgetting about the First Amendment. We have 22,000 students at this college. Where are they? So many people have given up on government because they don't think government's listening. And they believe in their hearts, whether it's federal government or state government, I'm afraid to say soon local government, they don't think anybody's listening. That is our right, it's your right to speak up and be heard. And that's where I'm really afraid that the First Amendment is the most important, and it's one that's being taken for granted. We're all defending Second Amendment, we're talking about other amendments, but the bottom line is, if no one's up there listening and if we're not willing to talk, the government in this country is going to fail and fail quickly. Thank you. My name is Art Bishop.
The most important amendment, in my opinion, is the Fourth Amendment. Because the Fourth Amendment guarantees the rights of people to be safe in their homes, to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures, and to have due process of law, including habeas corpus. It is a restriction on the rights of government, like all of the first 10 amendments. It says specifically what government cannot do. And without due process and safety in your own home, you have no right to habeas corpus. You have no right to justice. You have no right to counsel. You have no rights. So unless the Fourth Amendment is vigorously defended and enforced, the rest of them are meaningless and unenforceable. Thank you.
Good afternoon, candidates. I'm Timothy Tyler, student senator here at Victor Valley College. I have another generation student question, and it's directed to candidate Savage. What is the top priority facing the 33rd Assembly District?
Thank you, Tim, for that question. The biggest priority facing the 33rd District at this point is jobs. With me going door to door, 3,000 doors already knocked, and I will continue to knock on more doors. The biggest thing that people are letting me know is that we don't have jobs here in the high desert. We don't have jobs here in California, to be honest. We don't. We're pushing jobs out to Texas, Arizona, Nevada, you name it. When you have Governor Perry from Texas coming here to California to say, hey, come on over, we have less regulations and less taxes, of course they're going to go and start their business over there. We have the worst business environment here in California. And it's not a coincidence that most startup companies that start here in California fail. It's because the amount of regulations and taxes put on them. We need somebody up in Sacramento to bring some common sense back, because we need jobs here in California, not in other states. Thank you.
Taxes, folks, and regulations. You've been taxed to death and regulated to death, period. Now, I just mentioned a minute ago that the people up in Sacramento are breaking their oath to the state and federal constitution. They have for years. Now, for our district, we're growing up pretty good out here. But if the city raises our water rates a bit more, that helps a little bit. If we keep on getting more taxes, so I go for a flat rate tax. Flat rate tax for the state, maybe we can get a flat rate tax for the communities. Enough is enough. Now let's get back to God, family, country, and the Constitution, Bill of Rights. And what, the taxes? Yeah, get rid of them. And by the way, we have a mine out here called Calico. I asked Lovegood, I said, Lovegood, the reason I voted for you is in Metsville the last time I being an old Marine, was a young Marine. Indio County's using their gold and silver mine to pay their county bills, the city bills, and our bills. Well, let's use the silver and gold and tungsten and all the stuff on the side of the mine to do our taxes, okay? Don't mess with the ghost town. It's a historic organization. And Walter Nott and Mrs. Nott be very happy about that. We used to walk around their birthday once a year back in the 1950s. Use our resources, folks.
Well, I guess we have a bunch of Republicans up here, since we all agree that the #1 issue facing this district is jobs, taxes, and regulation. That's obviously one of the biggest problems we face here in the district, and so we prioritize it accordingly. And I guess maybe one of the differences amongst the candidates is really how to best develop the community, to create those jobs, and to lower those taxes, and what business is looking for. And I think once people look really closely, they'll find that some of the candidates have private sector business experience, which I think is one of the most important aspects to being a legislator up in California, in Sacramento. And really, it's the best tool to help develop what is a vast desert full of opportunities to create an industry for manufacturing and other viable industries here in the high desert. And we need to make sure that we are addressing these issues and inviting business here rather than driving them out.
Well, no surprise. I think the biggest issue facing the 33rd is economic also. In my experience, although we have a whole litany of social problems, those social problems get better if you can solve the economic ones. But I'm going to say something a little different, because I know you're not interested in seeing a bunch of people talk about what the problem is and not how to solve the problem. What we need is more business experience in Sacramento. It just bugs me when I hear someone talk about the government creating jobs and improving the economy. The government cannot do those things. Businesses do those things. Businesses create jobs. Businesses bring money into a community. If we can succeed in improving the business environment here in the 33rd District, I'm a 33rd optimist, actually. I think we have an abundance of natural resources. We certainly have an incredible natural beauty here. I think that we can turn things around for the 33rd. But we need business experience to get that done, and we need fewer career bureaucrats in Sacramento.
Well, no matter where you go, who you talk to, everybody wants the same thing. I don't care what religion you are, what race, what your background is. People want the same things in life, no matter where you live in the state of California. And that is a good job, a safe neighborhood, and if you have children, a good school. Most people don't pay attention to government until they intrude in their lives like we see today. And the government today has gotten away from representation of quality of life issues. Instead, we see the government forcing which bathroom our children can use. We see what type of gun you can buy, what type of car is, the taxes on gasoline. So basically, what's lacking in government today, in the 33rd District in the state of California, is just lack of leadership and focus on quality of life issues, which is jobs, education, and public safety.
The top priority for the 33rd Assembly District, in my opinion, is effective leadership of this district in Sacramento. There has been no effective leadership for this district since 2010. It has been MIA. It is very interesting to note that the Republican Assembly Caucus has endorsed Mr. Donnelly for governor, the same caucus that threw him out the door and wouldn't let him caucus with them. He was the People's Caucus of one. Naturally, when you've got a situation where you have 10 8th graders and one 8th slice of pizza pie, somebody's not going to get a slice. And if you're not at the table to make sure your constituents get a slice, you lose. Closed courthouses, upside down mortgages, struggling businessmen. More businessmen are going out of business than are coming into business. You need a person with a seat at the table in Sacramento, and I'm the only one that can do it. Thank you.
I've said previously that it's not so important what I'm going to do, it's how I'm going to do it and how we are going to do it. My proposal is, yes, it's jobs, but that's a simple statement. And that's the question. That's the $1,000, $2 million question. How do we get jobs going? Do we sit here and polarize ourselves and criticize the Democrats and their regulatory or our regulatory, we're just as much a part of that? Or do we stand up for ourselves and look, how are you going to attract business to your community? And that is infrastructure. And you have to start focusing in on each city council, each township, which would be MAC meetings, and start formalizing a plan. One big issue is in Apple Valley, water. how can we solve the water problems? Transportation, we just had a big bridge collapse. We do need government. We do need to access it. And we need to figure out how we're going to finance our infrastructure projects in education, extending health care for the seniors. Sorry.
Well, again, my name is Art Bishop, and the question really is, what's the top priority facing the 33rd Assembly District? Really is, what's the top priority facing the state of California? And that, unfortunately, is our budget. We have, even though we have a balanced budget now, it's only because we have a 5-year shortfall to look at it through Prop 30. But realistically, what we need to do is send someone to Sacramento, not to work just in one office, to work in 79 offices, because we need to get a majority of the Assembly and the majority of the state to realize the biggest problem facing not only the 33rd District, but the entire state of California is a budget that, one, will do all the things that we needed to do in California regarding regulations, jobs, businesses, and education, but not just a budget for today, not just a budget for tomorrow, but a budget that we can keep our state, getting it back to the great state it was, not only today, but in the future. Again, my name is Art Bishop, and thank you so much.
To get Larry to Sacramento. With 35 years of business experience and the type of business I've been in the architectural construction field, I've got to think outside the box. I'm going to have to be a problem solver. We have many issues in this district. We have lots of priorities: jobs, water, public safety, education reform. So for me, the priority is making sure that we make the right choice to get the person to Sacramento that's going to get the job done, and I believe that's me.
Our next question will start with Jerry Laws, and it is, who would you say has had the most influence in your life and why?
Are we on? Are we on? As I used to say when I was on radio 47 years, I'm still on radio once in a while. You only get 2 minutes. How many minutes we get here? 3 and 3. Oh, that's very good. Okay. All right, who's the most important factor in my life? God, family, and country. In that order, by the way. Now, we have a saying, we thank our many blessings. Oh, yes. Thank our Lord for our many blessings, because we name them one. I got to get it right order here. Name them one by one. Anyway, I wouldn't be here today if I hadn't had some helping from our Father in heaven to get here. And by the way, the Holy Ghost truly is a good comforter. So family, you bet can't have a family if you're not here. And country, you can't have a country if you don't defend the Constitution, Bill of Rights, and put me in the office of State Assemblyman. Thank you. God bless.
The greatest influences in my life are God and family. I believe God put me on this path for a reason, and without God's influence in my life, I wouldn't be on this road today running for office. Family is extremely important to me. My children influence me every day. They teach me something new. They give me something to fight for. They give me hope for the future. But above all, really, I would say is my husband, who I'm probably going to embarrass right now, but he really is the biggest influence in my daily life. When I met my husband, we lived in a small, tiny room above a garage, and from there we built a business, a couple of them, bought a house, had children, had a family, and really fulfilled what I believe is the American dream. And every day I look at my husband, and I'm so proud of the fact that he worked so hard. We both worked so hard, and have accomplished all the things that we wanted to do, and we couldn't do it anywhere else but in America.
From my point of view, the people that have been most influential in my life have been my teachers. And it started in high school, at Caltech as an undergraduate, at UCLA as a graduate student. I look back, and the people that really molded me into who I am are the people that taught me what it means to be a productive member of society. So I say this in a little bit of a poignant way to you students, because I appreciate them now. I guess I'll tell you a story. One of my most influential teachers was a man named Jerry Fisher. He founded the martial arts style that I have a 5th degree black belt in, and I own a karate school up in Big Bear, and I try and teach my students the things that he taught me about what it is to live a good life and be a good person. And I want to tell you that you need to appreciate those people while you're here. Unfortunately, my mentor passed away just a few weeks ago. It's been particularly difficult and poignant to go through during the campaign with that. So, students, next time you see your favorite teacher, please pat them on the back, give them a hug, and tell them how much you appreciate them being here, because you may not get the chance in the future.
I would have to say my father was the biggest influence in my life. I feared the man. He taught me to do what's right, support the little guy, and I've always done that in my life. As a police officer, I've always supported the underdog, and he's really taught me to do, to hold my head up and to never ever give up in life. And I've had a lot, like everybody in this room here, we've all had ups and downs in our lives, and low points, high points, but you just never give up. And I take that to heart with running for public office and being a public servant is support the time this time. That was my father.
I would have to agree. My dad was the most important influence in my life. He was a veteran of the United States Army from 27 to 29, working with Billy Mitchell when they first started strategic bombing. He spent many years in the Merchant Marine as a communications officer in the Gulf of Mexico. After the SS Panay incident, he was immediately swept up into the Navy as having more years of sea duty than most of the people on active duty at the time. He got to go home in 1946, but in 1950, when Korea broke out, he was asked again to return to active duty, and with Admiral White, drafted the first uniform code of military justice. He has been an indelible and very, very human influence in my life, because besides his intellectual abilities, he was a decent, honest, loving man. Thank you.
Mine should be reflective of, as Jay was saying, my high school teachers, but more my coaches. I was a very troubled youth, headed down the wrong pathway, probably headed to incarceration, and in fact was, in terms of, at that level, would be juvenile hall. But there were some coaches and teachers that believed in me and actually kept me on the football team, and actually worked with some of my disabilities in learning and helped me to succeed. I was a kid in the late 70s when special ed was just getting started, and I was more of a behavioral problem than more learning. But the realities are they went a long ways. My wife is probably my biggest influence of 33 years, Susan Markovich, who is a Loma Linda administrator. Politically wise, Franklin Roosevelt, Thomas Jefferson, and military-wise, Ulysses S. Grant.
My name is Art Bishop from Apple Valley, and it's without a doubt my mother and father. We learn at a very young age. My mother and father, through life experiences, hard work on their behalf, and a lot of work with our family, taught me that if I wanted to do right within my community, I wanted to do right with my family, long before I met my lovely bride of 44 years, that you had to have a good, solid base. And I'm very proud that my parents provided me that base that was able to grit me through my life as a public servant, because I've been a public servant ever since when I went in the Army, really in the early 70s. That is my responsibility to the family and the people around me. And I've carried that with me all my life, right? I'm a big person about responsibility. I think a lot of people don't take responsibility serious enough. I have a responsibility to my family. I have a responsibility to my children. I have a responsibility to my community. I have a responsibility to you with the 33rd Assembly District. My name is Art Bishop. Thank you.
The biggest influence in my life is the Lord Jesus Christ. He saved my life when I was 19. Besides him, my family. When I look at my kids, I worry about their future. Then the people, the foundation of our nation. You folks are my influence. To hear your stories, the struggles you have, and try to find the answers to help you. The military. The people in our military who serve, who have given their lives so that we may be free to be able to vote. Individuals, I would mention JFK, Ronald Reagan, Teddy Roosevelt, and Leo DeRocher, who said, winners never quit and quitters never win.
My biggest influence would have to be my Savior, Jesus Christ. It's been a huge impact on my life. And as I pray every day, read the Bible, it's the first thing I think about when I wake up and the last thing I think about before I fall asleep. With that being said, my parents have to be the biggest influence along with that. Their passion for serving the public, whether it's with the Sheriff's Department or whether it's in our schools, it's something to be admired. And I will always remember this conversation that I had with my father, and he says, Brett, what you do in life as a career, you need to do something that you have a passion for and that you enjoy. Because when you go to work every day and you enjoy what you do, you're not working. And I have a passion for serving, and I have a passion for government. And it would be my honor to represent the 33rd District in the Assembly. Thank you.
Hello again, candidates. We have another student-generated question. We'll be starting with Rosick. The question is, what is your vision for the future of our Assembly District? What changes would you advocate and why?
All right, I want to ensure that this district has a strong district office. I think that's something that we can really improve upon right now. Out of the district office, we can provide so many services for constituents when they have questions or they need help navigating through the plethora of laws that are in existence in California. And I plan on bringing a well-staffed office that's able to address questions and concerns. My vision also includes strong economic and job growth and access to quality health care and quality education for our children. I believe that once elected, I'll be able to represent the people very well on that front and be able to offer a service that isn't really intact right now through the district office.
I'm going to focus on the things that I think I could actually accomplish if you elect me. And it focuses around my frustrations as being a mayor of one of the cities in this district. And I'll tell you, we get the short shrift a lot of the time from Sacramento. I'm going to give you one specific example that's come up just last year. You probably heard that Needles lost their courthouse last year. Barstow lost that courthouse. We in the city of Big Bear Lake lost our courthouse last year. It's a huge quality of life impact on my constituency, having to drive over an hour to twisty mountain roads to get something like a traffic ticket adjudicated or a small claims court heard. I want to tell you from someone who was on the inside and who was advocating against the closure of those courthouses, was not a coincidence that that happened to us. It's because we lacked effective representation in Sacramento. And I can tell you, having been to Sacramento a number of times now, that my perspective on the job has changed. I think only about half the job is legislative and means going to Sacramento and voting. And the other half is being an effective voice for your constituency in Sacramento and establishing the relationships that you need to solve problems for the people back in your district. I think I can do that.
Well, my view for the 33rd District is what California was once known as. Well, it still is known as the Golden State, but it was known as the Golden State because it was a place where people flocked to because there was good jobs, there was good schools, there were safe communities, there was good infrastructure, there was common sense laws in the country, in the state. And we've gotten away from that. It's actually gone in the opposite direction in just about every area you can think of in California. And my view is that, we need, it's been mentioned here, we need good representation. There is no representation today in Sacramento from this district.
You have to have a passion for it, you have to be able to listen to people, and you have to be willing to fight for what you believe is the right thing for the right reasons. And you would definitely get that with Rick Waller. Thank you.
It's interesting to hear courthouse closures being described as a quality of life issue. Actually, it is the disenfranchisement of every resident of the 33rd Assembly District and denying the legal protection of the law. It's much more grave than just a quality of life issue. I have heard enough, seen enough, and had enough of the 5th floor of the San Bernardino County Operations Center. Our only hope of saving what is left of our beloved mountains and desert is Mojave County. The 33rd Assembly District will make an excellent blueprint for the new county boundaries. We must seize control of our own destiny and make sure that there's something left for our kids and our grandchildren without being sold down and sold out by people who have only their own short-term financial gain. Thank you.
I'm going to sound repetitive. What is your vision for the future of Assembly District 33? What changes would you advocate and why? My vision is to focus on infrastructure which creates unity amongst all groups in Sacramento and here. What we need to do first, though, is change the culture in District 33. The culture right now in District 33 is very polarized. We are polarized in Sacramento. We are not even listened to. We have to change that and start compromising. And I know people say that's a wrong word, but we have to look at the bigger picture. And the bigger picture right now is jobs, but we have to be able to attract jobs. And if we want the kids to stay here from the education systems, we've got to be able to create jobs that they can get that are high-paying tech jobs. And there are some city councils right now working on some big projects in your desert that need representation in Sacramento.
My name's Art Bishop, and really it boils down to a voice. Your voice. But for your voice to be heard, you need a legislator that'll listen. He needs to listen to the people. He needs to listen to the cities. He needs to listen to local government. He needs to listen to our schools. He needs to listen to the people, whether they're young and old. We may all have our own ideas of what we think will fix this district, but this district belongs to you. I represent you. I've been involved with local government in the high desert here in Apple Valley, Victorville, Lucerne Valley for over 35 years. And I have always prided myself that I was a voice for the people. I've always felt strong that whatever you saw as your need, once we work together, we can accomplish. That's one of the reasons I was so adamant of building a brand new college in Apple Valley, our public training center that I worked on for almost 10 years. These are the type of things that I need to hear your voice. We need to work together. We need to accomplish. Thank you.
My vision for the 33rd Assembly District is making sure that the people can reconnect with their government. That's why I have my cards that I printed up. I put my personal cell phone number so any constituent can get a hold of me. On the back, I created a thing called Team 33. Because in my district office, I just won't have field reps. I'll have paid field reps. I'll also have volunteers. I'll have committees in different parts of the district that can report back to me so I know what's going on. When I'm not in Sacramento and I'm here in the district, I'll be in and about the district. My vision for the 33rd Assembly District is a prosperous one. I guess that was a timeout. As a former professional level athlete that played a team sport, I know what it means to have a team concept. I often played with guys with varying personalities, playing styles, and you needed a leader that brought all those styles together. I believe we can do that. I believe that the answers for the 33rd District are found right here in the people, and I want to make that connection.
What's my vision for the 33rd Assembly District, I envision a district that has jobs. California does not legislate for jobs. Government cannot create jobs. They need to get out of the way. We need a representative that will fight for that. John Kofi said earlier that he's the man that can actually get a seat at the table. I would say he's wrong. If I go up to Sacramento, I don't care if you're a Republican, I don't care if you're a Democrat, or you're an independent, I just want a seat at the table. I want to have a seat at the table that brings jobs back here to California. So many times, jobs issue is made out to be a Republican issue. It's not a Republican issue, and it's not a Democratic issue. It's a California issue. We're failing across the state, and we need a representative that will fight to have a seat at the table, that will fight for that common sense to bring jobs here to California, and I can do that. Thank you.
I don't mind the Second Amendment gal I hand you the phone behind me, the speaker, because she's right on target. Okay, what is my vision of the future of the Assembly District? Yeah, well, I'll tell you, this getting old is something else. I looked in the mirror the other day and scared myself half to death. And I actually get my lifeguard trucks on one leg now. I'm making progress. All right, the vision is God, family, country, the Constitution, Bill of Rights, flat rate tax, get the state back to the people. Maybe we need a part-time state legislatures like they got in some of these other states. And let the people have their money back. And by the way, this is the 100th anniversary of the Federal Reserve. We have known their money for 100 years. They've been controlling money for 100 years. And also, this is the 100th anniversary of the Social Security. And by the way, if the law requires 10%, the government will vote 3. Now, if you send me to Sacramento, I'm not going up there to kiss anybody. I'm going there to pardon my expression for the ladies in our audience, to fix bayonets and kick butt. We've been going through this for the last 100 years. Enough is enough. And it is God, family, country, the Constitution, Bill of Rights. Thank you.
Hello, we have our last student-generated question, and we will begin with J. Obernolte. And the question is, why should we vote for you?
Well, you've heard it said over and over again up here from the members of the panel that we need more business experience in Sacramento. And no matter how you measure it, in terms of employees, in terms of customers, in terms of turnover, I have the most business experience on this panel. But you have also heard it said that it's going to take political and legislative experience to get anything done in Sacramento. Whoever of us that you elect, we will be one of 80 people, and that experience is going to become very important, and I'm tied for the most legislative experience on the panel. So those are the main reasons. I have the endorsement of the San Bernardino County Republican Party. I have the endorsement of the San Bernardino County Young Republicans. I'm the endorsed candidate of the American Independent Party. And I would love to have your support and your vote. I'm Jay Obernolte, and I want to thank you for listening to us today.
Well, let's look at track records. There's a reason why, and I can only speak for Apple Valley because that's where I spent my 8 years, but there was a reason why I was elected twice with landslide victories. In fact, nobody in the high desert for any city council race has gotten more votes than myself at 12,000 each time. And there's a reason why, because I'm a man of my word. I fought diligently for 8 years, well, not on the council when it actually did the ribbon cutting, was the Yucca-Loma Bridge, as a member of Sandbag. When the state and the feds would just refuse to work with us, I kept at it. That came to fruition. You look at what we've done in Apple Valley with development standards. While on the council, we have the highest value homes in the entire high desert. There's homes in Apple Valley now that are listed for $700,000 plus. You see that nowhere else in the high desert. And that's because we, and myself, I stuck to my guns and did what was right for the community of Apple Valley. And I would take that same drive to the state of California. Thank you.
Well, why should you vote for me? Well, I'm probably the oldest person up here, so I have the most experience. Legislators deal in lawmaking. I have a law degree from Western State University College of Law. Same school that Bob Connolly graduated from. I worked for the Newberry Springs Community Services District. 2004 or 2005 at the request of Wesley Sperry. We ran nursery products out of town. I know how to get things done. I know how to talk to people. I know how to talk to people in power. There's 3 judges in the Superior Court who refuse to talk to me. That's because they don't want to hear what I have to say, because it embarrasses them. I know how to get things done. I can be nice. I'm a special educator, para-educator for special needs children, bilingual, and I know how to talk. Hablamos a todos. I can work for you, and there's nothing in it, really, for me.
All right, I'm going to be a little more direct. Big whoop. You know, what it really boils down to, and I've been sitting here and I've been talking, and maybe you don't understand me, but I've been offering you what we can do to attract business. It's easy to say we need to create jobs. And it's easy to blame it on Sacramento, and blame it on Washington, and all the legislation and the visions that are coming from there. But the reality is, it starts right here. And as a Republican, it's independence. And if we don't do it on our own, we won't succeed. And we got to do it together. And I've been offering to you infrastructure. And the only way we can attract business and people to this community is if we establish an infrastructure in which a high-tech business will be attracted and come here. And there are city councils doing that right now. You have the verge of a huge manufacturing plant in Barstow of close to 2,000 jobs in aluminum. We also have the airport, which just attracted another business, Boeing, from San Bernardino City back out here. So we're starting to move forward and keep working on the infrastructure.
Well, thank you very much. My name is Art Bishop, and it's all about, in my opinion, experience. You have a lot of very good candidates up here, but I have years of experience both in Sacramento as well as here as the high desert. I've been on legislative boards throughout the state of California. I understand what it means to move a bill forward. That's half of our job, but I also understand government budgeting. It's one thing to understand public sector budgeting, but I'm telling you government budgeting is completely different. If you want to look at a state budget, if you want to understand a state budget, if you want to understand a school district budget, a city budget, a county budget, you've got to have a good background in governmental budgeting. If you don't, you're not going to be able to get anybody to listen to you, because unfortunately the people in control of budgets throughout the state of California are the people who make those budgets, and you have to talk their language. Laws, I'm very proud to say I have written my own bill. I spoke to the committees. I have passed the bill. It became a law, and I'm proud to say I'm probably the only person up here who passed a law in the state of California. Thank you much. Again, my name is Art Bishop.
Why should you vote for Robert Larrabee? Because our government has separated itself from its people, and it's time we take the government back by electing one of our own, one of the regular people. It takes somebody that can reach across to different diversities. You should elect me because I'm already at work. I'm just not talking about it. I'm in and out campaigning. I'm running across people with issues, and I'm trying to help them with their issues already. We did a survey about where I stand. I've got 46% Republican vote and 54% other party. I've been endorsed by nonpartisan groups such as Election Forum and the California Small Business Association. You should vote for Robert Larrabee because we need new blood, we need new ideas, we need problem solvers, somebody that can think outside the box, and I give that to you. Everybody has their specialty on different issues, but I believe I'm the only candidate that knows a little bit about all the issues and has some answers.
Aren't you guys tired of sending the same people to Sacramento time in and time out? We need somebody who has the energy, who has the conservative values to get something done. I've knocked on over 3,000 doors. After 3,000 doors, you have your ears listening to the people. With me going door to door, I'm able to listen exactly what the issues are that are facing them. I'm not sure how the other candidates would be able to represent the community if they're not out there talking to the constituents and talking to the voters. When I go door to door, I'm listening to them, letting them know about myself. Also, we need somebody who's willing to work across the aisle. We know that there is a majority of Democrats in the Senate, in the Assembly, and we have a Democratic governor, Jerry Brown. That is the makeup. We must play with the hand that we're dealt. We must have somebody that's willing to work across the aisle to make California prosperous again. And I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to put in the hard hours and the hard work to fight for our district. That's something different. Thank you.
Well, read your state constitution, your federal constitution, and your scriptures daily, and don't forget to pray. And don't forget to vote for me. Now, we did not fight Korea and Nam and all these other wars to be run by people in the state, well actually Sacramento and the state, who believe in tyranny and who would take our spirit of love of liberty away from us. So folks, I'm not going there to play games. And I have enough buddies on both sides of the veil who are still alive from those wars, and the ones that are on the other side of the veil. They're hoping I'll do the right thing. So, vote for Jerry Laws. We're running out of time here. Okay, pro-life, pro-Bill of Rights, Second Amendment, pro-Constitution, pro-state rights, 10th Amendment. There are too many laws on the books. We only need one, Jerry J. Laws. That was authored by CW. That was Chuck Weiler, George Washington's sidekick. God bless.
My name is Michelle Ambrozic, and I've heard a lot today at this panel about reaching across the aisle and meeting at the table. I'm not going to Sacramento to meet at the table. I'm going to Sacramento to flip the table over. We've had enough of going up there and getting nothing done and not having our representatives represent us in a real way. Compromise usually means compromising our values, and I don't believe in that. I think that we can be effectively leading and representing this district without compromising our values and our conservative principles, and that's exactly what I intend on doing once elected.
Okay, there. Okay, at this time, we are going to make a transition over to asking audience questions. The first question is coming. All right. We're going to start with candidate Royale, and the question comes from our BBC's very own board member, Joe Brady. And he's going to please come up and ask the question.
Well, it's an honor. Thanks again for coming here. We appreciate all of your time. With 38% welfare food stamp use in the high desert region, increased crime, and I believe nearly 20% real unemployment, what are you each going to specifically do to help create jobs here? Talking about here, not up in Sacramento. I mean, what are we going to do here to create the jobs, get these people off of entitlement, and to turn the tide that we've seen the last 5 years?
Okay, well, Joe, we've talked about this in the past. It's an interesting question because, you know, this has been stated before that the government does not create jobs. You can't throw taxpayer money to create jobs. So the only way that jobs are created in this area is by a loosening of regulations for businesses. The bottom line, even when I was on the town council in Apple Valley, we streamlined the application for businesses to open and charge less money for conditional use permits on businesses and things like that. So government basically has to get out of the way to create jobs. Now, to get to the issue of welfare, there's a lot of people moving to this area, to the state of California, because we have such lucrative welfare system. So I would be opposed to increasing any more money into the welfare system. I'm sorry, time's up. It's kind of hard to answer some of these questions in 60 seconds, but I know that we all need a chance to.
There is a crisis in the land. The high cost of housing is the chief driver of poverty in this state and every other state. Until people have a place to live and can provide for their families a safe environment with enough food to make sure that the kids don't go hungry because the schools are closed Saturday and Sunday, we will not be able to resolve that crisis. We must fund Section 8 in accordance with demonstrated need without solving the housing crisis and the problems associated with that, like Prop 41 does, the Veterans Housing Initiative. There is no reason why a veteran who has worn the same uniform that I have worn sleeps on the street. That is a national disgrace. We must provide the minimum acceptable social and human standards needs in order to be the nation we're supposed to be. We must repair this world.
To answer your question, it's a vicious cycle. And typically, when unemployment is high, despair is high, and giving up is high. And because of unemployment being so high here, it is reflective of the social net need that's here. But I believe, with my Democratic colleague, that we do need to keep that social net in place. Now, I know it's been villainized, but it's important. But you're going to know the answer of what I'm going to talk about. It's infrastructure. And we have to look at our assets, which is the Mojave Desert, the San Bernardino Mountains. We have sustainable energy out here. We can resource that. But one of the things we have to really look at, and is important, and can be important in Sacramento, is how do we finance this? How do we pass the bonds to establish and expand the water, the transportation, to rebuild the bridge? How do we do these things? We're going to have to work with bond financing. We're going to have to work with oversight from Sacramento so that the obligation isn't extended to where we can't afford it or becomes an exponential curve, and that we have interest rates that are affordable.
Well, my name's Art Bishop, and thank you so much, Joe. This is probably the 800-pound gorilla, at least in the high desert. I'm not sure about the mountains because I'm not sure the mountains are looking for a 300-acre aluminum manufacturing company to move in and to give 3,500 jobs. But in the high desert, we are. We've got to be able to work together as governmental agencies, private entity, Chamber of Commerce's, to be able to attract good quality businesses to our community. And there are a number of ways we do that. Some are in Sacramento, some are right here, and we have to face them ourselves. But the bottom line is, if we're not willing to tear down the walls between our communities, between our private enterprises, and work together, we're not going to be able to bring the kind of future to the high desert. I would love to see this entire 33rd district become a destination point. I want to see people come here, love coming here, enjoy themselves, and want to stay here. I believe that's doable, and it's doable in the next 10 years. My name's Art Bishop. Thank you.
Joe, to answer your question, I think some of our city councils here are doing a lot to provide for more jobs. So I believe Robert Lerby's responsibility as your assemblyman is to go to Sacramento and try to remove some of the impediments that cities have had in being able to make things easier for especially small businesses. One of the things that really hurt us in our economy in this state is the removal of redevelopment agencies. I want to go to Sacramento and fight to get some of that back so that cities in this district can use those funds to put more contractors to work, to create more opportunities for small businesses. Our small businesses are hurting here in California. They're a great deal part of our economy. So I think that's one of the things we need to tackle, especially too at the educational level. Here at Victor Valley College, we can create programs working with industry to make sure that we can educate people to do those jobs.
Thank you for your question, Mr. Brady. Along the campaign trail, I met a family in Hesperia. It was a family of 7. They had 5 kids. They make $30,000 a year. They were on food stamps and they were on welfare. But they said, you know what? I'm tired of these handouts. I can go out and get a job. Yes, they're only making $30,000 a year. And that government agency told them that they should stay on that program. We need to stop incentivizing this. We need to incentivize job growth in California and in our district. And we can't, I get it, I understand, I'm not against welfare or food stamps. They're there for a reason. But people shouldn't make a career out of it. That's first and foremost. Secondly, a simple thing is, it is To have an LLC here in California, it's 10 times higher than it is across the board in other states. Entrepreneurs here in California can't even start their businesses. In the high desert, we are entrepreneurs here, and we need to make it easier for them, and a simple way is to decrease the fee for the LLC. Thank you.
All right, folks, we got the largest district in the state of California, and Indio County is the second largest. Now, you've been watching what's been happening in Nevada. Well, the Sagebrush Rebellion started back in 1973. Get the federal government off our lands, let the district or the county or where we live at here, and our local government use our resources to pay our bills. And by the way, the cities and the counties must learn to live within their means like you and I do all the time. So, and get the state out of your life as much as possible and do what needs to be done. And like I say again, we didn't fight Nam and Korea for all this stuff. So you vote for me, you go to Sacramento, and we'll go up there and teach these people the state constitution, the federal constitution, and the rights to the cities and everything else. Now look, we have a water problem here, right? I don't want to see some little snail guard in the middle of California to keep the land, keep the people from having using their water to make their land, to cook our food, or make our food. Period.
Time.
Thank you. I got time for you too.
Thank you, Joe, for that question. I will repeat a sentiment that has been expressed up here, in the fact that we, as assembly members, don't create jobs. Businesses create jobs. And our job is to represent the people and get out of the way of business. Now, I will stand with the people, and I will support them and businesses. I have opponents that have sat on city councils here, and they have voted for job-destroying bills, like a UN Agenda climate change action that has been implemented in the town of Apple Valley. Another opponent presides over that kind of legislation. That legislation empowers entities like CARB, California Air Resources Board, which is the #1 destroyer of business in the state. When you have legislation like this being pushed through at the local level, it destroys any chance of industry in the desert or anywhere. And I will stand with businesses and with the people to ensure that they're not being sold out to these entities and to the UN agendas that destroy jobs. That's time. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to go 30,000 foot view here because I only have 60 seconds. And my answer is we have to change the culture here in the 33rd. And what do I mean by culture? I don't mean museums. I mean the attitude of self-reliance instead of reliance on government. I'm talking about respect for our neighbors instead of graffiti all over buildings. I'm talking about nurturing and fostering the entrepreneurial spirit that tells our children that it's okay to fail, because ultimately if you try and try and try, eventually you will succeed. That's the kind of thing that we're really losing in our culture of government dependence, and we have a lot of that here in the 33rd. Now, admittedly, these are big, big topics. They're not going to be easy to solve. It's going to require a lot of education. It's going to require a lot of teamwork. But there's a proverb that says, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. We need to start taking those steps.
As a BBC student, what is your view on community college funding by the federal and state government?
Inadequate and misdirected. The original plan for community colleges was not just as a warm place to stay between high school and a 4-year degree. It was to provide job readiness training for people who, for whatever reason, did not choose to go to a 4-year college and get a 4-year degree. It was to make sure that as the unions disappeared and their apprenticeship programs disappeared, there was some mechanism whereby young people getting out of high school could learn how to fix that car, how to build that house, how to install hot water heaters, safely and in accordance with the electrical codes and the other codes that govern the activity. We don't see that anymore. We see a wide variety of different things in the community colleges, but we don't see that get your hands dirty and fix something courses that are so important. Thank you.
In business, you stay the course with what works and what's effective. Also, in state business, what's worked and been effective is the junior college system. It's been an asset not only for those for a pathway from kids out of high school to go to a four-year college in academia, but also for those that have chosen vocational ed. And if there's anything that stands out amongst junior colleges, is their ability to provide the resources and access to free education to get a job in a vocational career. And I know even in nursing, this is how, when my wife and I first got started in young and married and 3 children, she accessed the junior college to get into a nursing program out at San Bernardino Valley College. It was instrumental to her success today. And it was accessible because we could afford it. And we couldn't afford private nursing schools, but we could afford the public education system. And if our public education fails us, our country will fail. And look at the history of Russia, why they went to communism. It's because there wasn't access to education.
I want to thank the young man for asking the question. It's a great question. And I think really the bottom line is local control. Community colleges years ago had local control. Over the last 30 years, the state of California has taken almost all of that local control out of our community colleges up and down the state and pulled it into Sacramento. Our board of directors, our school boards, our administrators, our teachers, our students know what's best for their communities and know what's best for their own lives. Unfortunately, those decisions are being made now in Sacramento. So it's really a matter of letting your local people decide how they want to use the budget, how they want to fund their schools, and what type of topics they want to teach. If you want to teach vocational, I think that's absolutely fantastic. That's what you should be doing. If you want to focus on the arts, if you want to focus on law, that's what you should be doing. But it's really a matter, in my opinion, with schools, it's all about local control for the classes and the budgeting. Archbishop for 33rd, thank you.
Funding is absolutely inadequate. When I come here to the school and I talk to people in the office about how they're asked to cut the fat, and they've cut basically down to 0 body fat, what more can we do? Well, that's where we need thinking outside the box. Tell you about my education briefly. I went to a special school, 3 years high school, 2 years junior college. You entered that school choosing one of 7 majors. When you finished, you had an associate's degree and you went to work. So we need to think outside the box. We need to create ways. We need to go out there and look at the local industries that are out there that need training and work with them. Ask them to sponsor, to help provide some of the funds we need for those programs here at the college. But yes, I believe that we can do it here in the 33rd District without reliance anymore from Sacramento. And I think on top of that, if there is a budget surplus, then our schools need to get some of that surplus to do the things they need to do.
How do you make one life's person better? Education. You never have too much education. VBC, there's a lack of funding. There's a lack of funding across the board for education. When there's a lack of funding, there's less classes offered. It's harder to get the classes that you need. I went to VBC here. It is difficult to get the classes that are required for you to transfer to a 4-year university. Once you're able to transfer, you get your degree. Guess what? You're looking for a job. So it becomes full circle. You need the education, and we need to have jobs here in California. While attending VBC, I was a part of the Model United Nations program. We got some funding from the school, but we also had to fundraise as well. But if we're able to give more funding to these type of programs, that give initiative towards students, to self-betterment, to go on to a 4-year university, to then go on and get a job, we need to see more funding towards education so that these individuals can graduate and obtain good jobs here in the High Desert and in the 33rd District.
Well, I went to a junior college. I only went to 1 year. Played water polo. We kicked the heck out of USC, but that's beside the point. Anyway, all right. Junior colleges is the backbone of our community, and do not go into debt to go to a 4-year college. Trade schools are not too bad. We could use more of those. I assume they have some here at the college. And there again, do not go into debt to the federal government. And by the way, on the surplus, I agree with my comrade here. Get the money back to the community, back to the states, back to the community, and quit sending government to the federal government. Keep the money in the states. We'll have plenty of time to build our colleges stronger. And do not get federal loan. You'll never pay it off. Unless we have a change in D.C., and I don't think we're going to have much change there yet. In the state of California, my time is short. Well, I got another 30 years. Take care. God bless.
Well, 33% of the job force is one that requires a college degree. And while I have a college degree and I certainly value it, there is a need for trade schools and other types of opportunities for students to have a good shot at earning a living in the future. You know, we do have a budget for higher education, and I believe this is best managed at the local level, and it's been greatly mismanaged by the state of California. Things like the DREAM Act, I oppose. We need to give opportunities, funding opportunities to Californians first. And that's really where the bottom line is with education, is that it needs to start at the local level, and we need to give California opportunities back to Californians.
Well, I know that when money is tight, there's a lot of budgetary pressure to reduce funding for community colleges, but I've been a businessman a lot longer than I've been a mayor. And as a businessman, one of the key concepts is return on investment. It's not wrong to invest money if you expect to get a good rate of return on that money. And the argument that we shouldn't fund our community colleges is like arguing with a farmer that he shouldn't pay for seed. If he doesn't plant the seed this year, yeah, his bottom line will look better this year, but he won't have crops in the future. And that's the way I view the community college system. I'll tell you something else. I'm a real optimist in terms of education. And for you students, I want to let you know that you are a member of the most intellectually empowered generation in human history. And I think you guys are going to change the face of education. I don't think that our educational system 50 years from now is going to look like our education system right now. I'm a huge optimist and I'm a huge fan.
Well, I believe Victor Valley College is probably the most important taxpayer-funded entity in this high desert, in this district. If it wasn't for this college, I wouldn't be sitting here today, because when I was competing for a law enforcement job with 10,000 other people for 200 positions, they asked me, well, Rick, what have you done to better yourself for this job? I said, well, I attended Victor Valley College and then took several classes in administration of justice and English to learn how to write and read better. And it is such an important. And I know that the college today is trying to expand its vocational opportunities for people, because not everybody needs a 4-year degree to be successful in life. There's nothing wrong with mechanic jobs or other vocational jobs, electrical, plumbing, things like that. So it would be a priority of mine, and that's why I actually received an endorsement from the California Teachers Association. I went to an interview, and I have 5 seconds, and I can't come close, so we'll stop there.
Okay, in the interest of time, we're going to move on to closing statements. Just a reminder, you each have 2 minutes for your closing statements, and we will begin with Scott Markovich.
One of the first things I'd like to state, and if you haven't figured that out yet, ScottMarkovichHasAPlan.com. I really respect Thomas Jefferson. His contemporaries said that he was the most pragmatic politician of his time. There are politicians and there are statesmen. Statesmen go beyond entrenched partisanship and work for common good and promote people rather than ideology. My goal is not to become a politician, and instead is to become a statesman that brings unity to this community and brings unity up to Sacramento so that we can start planning on rebuilding our infrastructure needs. Now, what is involved with infrastructure? Infrastructure includes schools, sanitation, water, and then I touched on something that hasn't been said. We have the baby boomers population. Biggest is probably out here right now, that is retiring. We need to work on an extended care plan. We need to do a lot of things, but if we start entrenching ourselves and polarizing and special interest issues, then we will accomplish nothing. And in order to accomplish something, we have to break down the barriers that we have built over many years of entrenched partisan politics. And it's time to quit being entrenched and partisan, especially in this community. Now, we are considered a conservative community, and that's great, and we need to hold on to those values. But we also need to use that strength and conservatism to build a relationship with the community of people that are maybe liberals, that are people that are moderates. And we got to find ideals and find ways and start participating in the process, and I think I facilitate that. Again, look at the many ideals and the many aspects of my campaign at scottmarkovichhasaplan.com. This is a great community. It is a part of the Mojave Desert and the San Bernardino Mountains, best place in California.
Okay, well, first off, I want to thank the college. This has just been a great opportunity for all the candidates to come here and speak to you. You don't know how important it is for us to be able to get our message out to you, the students and the residents of the 33rd District. So thank the college, and I know we're going to do some TV on this too, and thank you for that as well. I think the key really is the message. The person do you want to send to Sacramento? The person who has the right amount of experience, the person who has the ability to get the job done, the person who has the way about dealing with Sacramento. For many, many years, we've been on the receiving end in Sacramento. It's time that we go to Sacramento and figure out what they can do for us, what Sacramento can do for the 33rd District. It's time that we go up to Sacramento and let them know that we're alive and well here in the 33rd Assembly District, in the mountains and in the desert. And we want to make sure that we're being viewed and counted in what's the future of this community, not just necessarily the dumping grounds of this state. We have a beautiful state. And I want to say that we need to keep it going in the right direction. And the only way to do that is to send a person to Sacramento with the experience that he has, like myself, with over 35 years experience in government. Local government works great. Sacramento's broken. They need to take a real lesson from local government. I want to thank you again for allowing us to be here today. My name is Art Bishop, Mayor of Apple Valley. I'm running for the 33rd Assembly District.
Well, the update is my granddaughter's not here yet. But that's okay. I'm the nervous grandfather. It could be any moment. Thanks for coming. Thanks for listening to us. I wish this room could be packed. I believe that's the sad state of our country, our state, our community. I live in Victorville. There's 115,000 residents approximately. Depends on who you ask. I go to a city council meeting, and there's maybe 50 people. I look at the 2012 presidential election statistics when 46% of the voting age did not come out to vote. Folks, we're losing our democracy because people are tired of government setting themselves up separate from the people. Whatever happened to the things we hear about the Gettysburg Address, about being a government of the people, by the people, and for the people? It's time we put an end to career politicians. It's time that we elect people that we know who are our neighbors, people that we know that are in the trenches, out there helping, connecting. I've been at work up here in the high desert for several years dealing with a big problem, homelessness. I called for a homeless center. Why? Because that was the cry. They were just looking for someone to step up and bring people together to find answers to the problems of homelessness in the high desert. The problem still exists. The county statistics show a 19% reduction in the homeless population. I don't think it's 19, I think it's probably more closer to 9. But that's the kind of thinking we need, that's the kind of leadership we need, to think outside the box, and that's why you need to vote Larrabee on June 3rd.
First, I want to say thank you to Victor Valley College for hosting this event. It's really important to be able to allow the voters to listen to where all the candidates stand on the issues. So thank you for hosting this. People have lost faith in their elected officials, and and I've been asked, why would I be any different? I'm different because this is my home. This is where I've spent my entire life. Here in the 33rd District, we value our independence. We treasure how close-knit our community is, and we respect individuals that stand up for our values. With that being said, there's some things we can work on. We need to drastically decrease the burden on small businesses by incentivizing growth. We need to protect our communities, and that ensures getting the funding for our men and women in uniform. We need to promote industry, and we need a representative that will fight to ensure that each child receives a world-class education here in California. Now, earlier a candidate said that she will not compromise in any way. Compromise is not a four-letter word. Too many times it's made out to be that. Governing is about working together to put California back on track, working together to get jobs here in California instead of other states, working together to give an education to our children so that they may be able to obtain jobs here in California, working together to put a budget for California to live within our means. You as individuals are expected to live within your own means. You can't spend too much, you have to live where you are at. California doesn't do that. California spends and spends and spends, and they only decide to raise taxes. Right now, here in California, every man, woman, and child would owe $9,000 in debt. That's because we spend too much here in California. We need to cut back our spending and lower taxes, and we need a representative that will go to Sacramento and fight for that. I'm Brett Savage. I hope you will vote for me on June 3rd for the 33rd Assembly District. Thank you.
Okay, start the clock. All righty. All right, I was very happy to come here today. I was so excited you folks came out. I thought I was going to Knott's Berry Farm for a chicken dinner. Or maybe you just landed to see Mr. Lincoln. I'm going to quote you something from Mr. Lincoln. The great moments from Mr. Lincoln. I've got time for it. What constitutes the bulwark of our liberty and the independence against tyranny? Our reliance is in the love of liberty, which God has planted in our bosom. Our defense is in the preservation of the spirit which prizes that liberty. September 11th, 1858. Okay, let's try the next one. At what point shall the day expect the danger approach? The danger of by what means shall it be fortified against us? Not all the armies of the transatlantic armies will cross the Atlantic Ocean. Not the armies in Britain, Asia, or Africa combined could take a drink out of the Ohio or walk across the Blue Ridge Mountains in 1,000 years. When will danger come to us? How would it approach us? I answer, it will never come from abroad. It comes from within. And I'll have to paraphrase, we're running out of time here. The destruction be our lot, ours must be its author and finisher. As a nation of free men, we must live through all times or die by suicide. Abraham Lincoln, Springfield, Illinois, January 27th, 1838. I recommend you to go see that. They brought it back about 2 years. It was they changed his face a little bit, but it's an excellent, well done. Now look, it's a God-family country, Constitution, Bill of Rights. You vote for Jerry J. Laws, and you will have your rights back when it comes to the God-given rights and your constitutional rights. And as I say again, we didn't fight now and create for all this other nonsense. And all these rest of the young folks who are fighting and have died are not looking for this purpose either. They're looking for the purpose of us to defend our parents and their families while they're still alive on this earth. And I'm very thankful for all the folks who showed up today. And I'll say it again, real quick like. I got about 30 years left. You guys got 552 years left. Well, maybe 100, maybe 75. So vote for me and you don't have to worry about voting for yourself, okay? Thank you. God bless.
Hi, I'm Michelle Ambrosic. Brett, that's cute. You're 25 and compromising might be really something that you hold near and dear, but it's not working out for California. The people of this district are yearning for representatives with a backbone. Someone who is willing to compromise their core values is not qualified for this job. Career politicians have run this state off course. Safety, prosperity, and liberty are under attack in California. We the people have lost our voice, and I'm bringing that voice back to Sacramento. I want to ensure that the California dream still exists for future generations. And while the issues change, they come and go. Healthcare is a hot button issue today, and tomorrow it might be something else. But above all, more important than the issues, is having representatives who are well-principled and unafraid to defend us when those issues are on the table. God, family, country are my principles. June 3rd, I ask for your vote. I ask for your support, and together we will ensure that this seat remains in the hands of we the people. I would like to thank the college for inviting me here today and the opportunity to let everyone know a little bit more about myself, my platform, and where I stand on the issues. I'll be here afterwards to take any additional questions you have. I'd like anyone who would like to support me to take a sign, like my Facebook page, visit my website, sign up to be a volunteer, make a donation, do anything you can. This is a grassroots campaign. I take donations from the people, not lobbyists or unions, and together we're gonna get this done. We're gonna make sure that this seat is held by one of us.
Thank you. I'm Jay Obernolte. I'd like to spend a little bit more time talking about why I'm running for the State Assembly. I have two wonderful sons. They're 15 and 13 years old. In fact, they were born just down the street at Desert Valley Medical Hospital here. Like many sons and fathers, we spend a lot of time talking about their goals and their aspirations in life. And I was surprised to learn that they view my life as kind of their embodiment of the American dream. They dream of doing someday what I did. They'd like to open a business of their own out of their dorm room. They'd like to shepherd that business through decades and in the process provide stable, good-paying jobs for their employees and along the way, a good income for themselves and their families. But I have a concern. And my concern is, in this toxic business environment in California, in this day and age, I don't think it's possible for them to do what I did, even if they work every bit as hard as I did. And that's not fair. It's not right. America is supposed to be the land of opportunity. California should be the place where the entrepreneurial spirit is nurtured and cherished. And that's why I'm running for the State Assembly, because I think we need that business experience in Sacramento. So I'm Jay Obernolte. I'm the endorsed candidate of the San Bernardino County Republican Party. I'm the endorsed candidate of the American Independent Party. I'd be honored to have your vote and your support on June 3rd. And I want to thank you very much for listening to all of us today.
I'm going to stand up because these chairs are watching the plane. My skinny grin. But I want to basically thank the candidates here, because it does, we have different views, and sometimes it gets a little contentious, but people get involved with government because they want to make a change, and I commend everybody. I've campaigned before. It's not easy. Sometimes it's not fun, but we all want to make changes, and it's good to see there's so many people involved. I want to thank Giles at the college here, and the college itself. Some of the board of trustees are here, and it's good to see this. And while you guys got to listen to us, we got to watch MTV on the flat screen right above here without any sound, but some of the videos have been pretty interesting. I want to just say that there is no magic bullet. Whoever you send to Sacramento from the 33rd District, it's going to be in November of 2014. June, there's going to be the top two. We're going to duke it out again throughout the whole summer, and the election's going to be held in November. But we're going to be only one of 80 legislators in that district. And you need to send somebody there that has the passion, the time, and the desire, and the knowledge of how to get things done. And we all want the same things. There's no doubt. Even the lone Democratic opponent here who finally showed up, he wants the same thing. He just wants a better community in the high desert in the 33rd District. And it's just something that needs to be done. And look at experience, look at passion, and make your decision based upon who has the qualifications for the job. And so on June 3rd, I would appreciate a vote for Rick Raleigh. I've been around for a long time, everybody really knows who I am. And with that, we have another debate to go to tonight, so we're gonna get to see each other for another 2 or 3 hours tonight. So thank you and God bless.
For a minute there, Rick, I thought I was going to get frisked. I thought he was leaving. Rick is the lieutenant at Barstow, and we sometimes work on the same things. Not always at the same time, but we work on the same things. So, I'm John Coffey. I'm the endorsed Democratic candidate for the 33rd Assembly District. I was the endorsed Democratic candidate in 2012. Where were we all in 2012? Nice to have some company. I'm a gun owner, and I continue to oppose any changes to Prop 13. We need more real jobs, schools that prepare our kids and grandkids for the jobs of tomorrow, and cleaner, more transparent government. We need to take better care of our veterans, which is why I support Prop 41, the Veterans Housing Initiative. And the EPA must take control and take over the largest toxic plume in the country in England. Vote coffee on June 3rd. Thank you.
Everybody give me a hand, please. Job on the timing piece. I really appreciate that. We only had to give a shout out once, so that's pretty good. You know, I don't think we would go wrong with anybody here that we picked. So as a citizen, so each of you guys go out and grab 10 friends, whoever you choose to vote for, and encourage them to go out and vote. And if you do me a personal favor, find 10 more friends who are not registered and register them. All right?
So that everybody knows, my name is Robert Sewell from River Valley College, and we are pleased that we do have a crowd here, but to ensure that the message and the story and the comments that are made by our candidates are reached by a larger group of people. Tonight's event has been filmed, has been taped. Early next week, all the candidates will have access to that to distribute accordingly, and we'll ensure that our staff, faculty, have the ability to listen to that also. This is scheduled at a time that is not conducive to everyone being present, as you have another event right after this at 6:30. So I did want to say thank you for being here at River Valley College on behalf of our board and our interim superintendent, president, and our faculty, staff, and students. I wanted to say thank you for showing up and spending a couple of hours with us.
This show is also dedicated to a great community leader that we just lost a few days ago, Bob Sagona. He's a mentor, a friend, a fellow soldier, and has fought tirelessly for our community. He will truly be missed. Prayers go out to his family and all of his friends. God bless you, Bob.